Welcome to the Haunted Hangover podcast. I'm Louie, and as always, I'm joined by my bud Dave.
Woo woo, what up?
And we're also joined by another member of the Haunted Hangover squad, Chrissy P.
Chrissy P!
What up?
Also, happy Friday the 13th, boys.
Yes.
There it is. Wait a second now. Where's that coming from? We did this last year. It was just Dave and I. Our Friday the 13th.
I was gonna say
special.
I'm honored to join in on the special this year.
We're happy to have you.
Friday the 13th. Yeah, we're happy to have you on this one. The second annual Friday the 13th special from Haunted Hangover, and Dave and I talked at length, at nauseum, about our love for the franchise in that episode. So we're gonna not do that this episode because we did open that show just talking about how we feel about the franchise as a whole, about the character of Jason,
Right.
all that good stuff.
We don't need to regurgitate.
We do not. We don't want to be redundant here at Haunted Hangover, even though we are sometimes. We can't help it. We forget. We have the memory of a goldfish sometimes. So it happens to the best of us. But we are going to ask Chris.
Oof, hot seat.
Have him give us his thoughts on the Friday the 13th franchise. Now, Chris, not focusing on Jason, what are your thoughts on the franchise as a whole? All, what is it, 12? Is it 12 or 11? 12 films?
11
films?
11. If we're counting the remake, 11.
Well, if we're counting Freddy versus Jason.
Oh,
12.
right. Then it's 12. Right,
So,
right. Yes.
I believe it's
So
12.
are we
Yes.
counting Freddy versus Jason
Yes.
Oh,
If
man.
Jason
On the
is
fly here, we're going to change my pick then.
if Jason is in the movie.
On the fly is okay.
Yeah, on the fly's all right. If Jason is in the movie, it's a Friday the 13th
All
film,
right,
too.
all right.
Even though there's remake and there's a film with Freddy involved.
Right. So then 12 total films.
12 total films. So, before you give your pick of which is your favorite out of the franchise, what are your thoughts on the franchise as a whole? You're a big fan? Is it your favorite?
Got some ups and some downs. I'd say it's probably got a few more downs for my personal taste than ups.
Really?
Yeah, and I love the first two. I love like unconditionally, and there's a couple in the middle that I'm not too fond about. Then there's a couple like later that I'm really not fond about outside of like one or two things. But I mean, I love the franchise. If we're not talking like just the character of Jason, the franchise is fun. But of the big horror franchises, I would say it's not my absolute top.
Your top is probably Scream, right? Because I think we've talked about it on the show.
Even if we don't count Scream as like, a top franchise, let's say the original, you know, Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers, let's say, right?
Yeah.
I would say of those three, Friday the 13th is probably the bottom of that for me.
So you like Halloween more, you like Nightmare on Elm Street more.
Right. But I mean, it's not to say that I don't like Friday the 13th. I'm just saying it's my least favorite of the legacy franchises, I guess.
Okay.
And,
that makes sense. If you had to rank them, let's say this is the list: Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween, Child's Play, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Those 5. What would be the order?
Halloween,
Okay.
Child's Play, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw. For me,
So wait, is Texas Chainsaw number 1 or number 5?
No, that's the bottom. That's 1 to 5.
That's the bottom.
That's 1 to 5.
So you're more of a Halloween fan like me.
Absolutely.
Dave and I spoke about this in our last Friday the 13th episode, and he's more of a Friday the 13th fan. I'm more of a Halloween fan. I'm like you. I love them all. I love all those franchises as a whole.
I know. I agree with that. The thing is, I almost don't even, when I watch these movies, I almost forget like they're part of a franchise. Does that make any sense? Like to me, they're just sequels.
No, I'm the same way. Yeah.
Like, and I watch them and I'm like, okay, well, I like these for certain reasons, and to me, they're just these self-contained movies.
Yeah, but I mean, but it's also like if one of them, any one of them, is on TV somewhere, I'm gonna stop and watch it.
Of course.
So it's not like I would turn it off and be like, oh God, this one is the worst. So like,
yeah.
But I mean, I could say that about all those like legacy franchises too. Like I would just watch any of them. So it's in that kind of class where like I would watch any of the movies in the series, and there's not many like long-standing movie series, and not just in horror, but in general, like long-standing movie series that I feel that's it. Like I wouldn't sit and watch any of the James Bond movies if they were on. You know, I have like my favorites of the James Bond movies that I watch, but but I wouldn't just sit and watch any of them. Whereas like Friday the 13th, regardless if it's like halfway through or just starting, I'm going to sit down and watch wherever it is, you know? Because there's something fun in each one of them.
Yeah, it's like a comfort. They're like kind of comfort movies in a way.
Right. And
like if they're on, you're going to just leave, like during Halloween, if they're on AMC, you just like let them play like while you're like cleaning or doing some shit. I'm pretty sure Dave and I spoke about that in our last Friday the 13th episode. But the character of Jason now, are you a fan of him as an individual? Just Jason, the hockey mask and all that good stuff.
He's a great character, and I mean he's the most iconic of the horror movie characters. That the hockey mask is,
I can agree with that.
Is the look. Like that is the one that, as we'll go later, it's emulated everywhere. It's like
No, you're right.
I mean, yes, they do the striped sweater and but the hockey mask, it's become so much more than just a hockey mask even. I think of it more as Jason's mask than a hockey mask, you know? Like, I don't see it have anything to do with hockey. It's the
technically a goalie mask.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, technically a goalie mask doesn't even look like what Jason wears.
Right.
Like,
no, it's its own thing.
Yeah,
it's horror iconography, like in the most like pure sense of the word.
Yeah,
I totally agree. That's the best way to put it. And honestly, thinking about it now, it's Freddy and Jason, I would say, are probably on equal playing field. I think Michael Myers would be below them. Chucky would be below them because even, when we go into some of our main topic, there's a couple of instances where both of those characters are portrayed or parodied in a way. So I'd say they're pretty balanced as to importance as the horror icons, So to me, at least, thinking about it, I was like, yeah, you know what? They're probably on the same level, I'd say. More so than Michael Myers, because people even confuse, like, they'll see Michael Myers, like, that's Jason.
Right.
They won't even realize, like, that's Michael Myers, a separate character.
He's kind of the paramount of, like, horror movie iconic characters, like, he's the one that, and yeah, Freddy too, but, like, those two are the ones that the name, no matter what. Like, even if you're not a horror fan, Jason because of the hockey mask.
I feel like Jason and Freddy can't really be compared because they're just two very different kinds of films or different kinds of horror films. And when you watch a Friday the 13th movie, they're mostly serious. There might be some kind of, slapstick or like lighthearted moment with like from a character. But if you watch A Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy himself is a slapsticky character.
Yeah,
like
from the beginning.
You know what I mean? So
he is. I agree.
So it's a tough comparison because you know what I'm saying. So
I get absolutely, and I think there's also more of like a grounded nature to Jason as a franchise. Yes, granted, it's a character that comes back to life all the time, but
that's like, it. That's the only stipulation with his character is that he just can't die.
Right,
that is all.
Yeah.
Whereas
none of them can truly die in the end.
Crazy stuff that Freddy does, like his long arms and the video games and all that kind of stuff. That stuff isn't really present in Friday the 13th movies.
No. Okay. Because at the end of the day, Freddy's a dream demon and Jason's just this undead mongoloid guy who's chopping
I am, however, going to talk about, and it's one of my picks, something that is a little impossible. But anyway.
So speaking of which, before we get into that, we have a couple of things. So Chris, favorite film in the franchise?
All right, so you changed it. You changed the or you changed my thinking of the stipulation. So I thought that it was just like, movies called Friday the 13th, like in the series.
Well,
so
Chris,
I would have.
Chris, let me stop you right there. Let's do 2. Let's do 2.
Okay.
Just Friday the 13th, and then I know what you're gonna say. So then just say it after that.
Right.
But
So
just
Jason
going
Takes
by
Manhattan.
Friday the 13th standards. Okay.
Jason Takes Manhattan. That's what I would have said pre the extra statement. But Jason Takes Manhattan, because I mean it's my personal favorite. It's just a fun movie, and I have such an affinity for New York set movies.
Yeah.
So
it's one of my favorites too. Dave and I went into that in our last episode. So
I love to watch how New York has changed in film over the years. Mm-hmm. And granted, it's not shot in New York aside from the Times Square sequence.
It's fucking 85% of it.
Right. But the Times Square sequence is a pretty good litmus test for how New York looked in 1989 or 88, 89 when that movie came out.
89. Yeah. 1989. Yeah.
So I love that about it. And so that one has always been my favorite one growing up. But if you want to add any movie with Jason in it, Freddy vs. Jason is just a shitload of fun. And it's
totally.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
I really agree. I find myself like just randomly searching that one out on like HBO or whatever it's on, and I probably watch it like 2 or 3 times a year because it's just such
fun movie.
Goofy fun.
It's dumb, but it's fun. Yeah. So, and it was a big deal when the two characters were brought together.
It was a huge deal. I remember going to see it in the theaters, and like it was huge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was like WrestleMania, man. It was a big event. So,
it was.
I totally get it. So, now before we go into the main topic, which is our favorite Friday the 13th things, it could be anything to do with the franchise or adjacent to the franchise, as long as Jason or something with the title.
As long as it's attached. As long as it's attached to it. That's
attached.
It. All right.
Our favorite things. We each have 2 picks, but before we jump into that, I wanted us to, because in our last episode we talked about Dave and I ranked where we ranked the films, where we'd rank.
Dude, I don't even remember any of this.
I'm sure. Again, goldfish memory over here. So what I thought we would do to open the show, besides talk to Chris about his thoughts on the franchise, was pick our favorite death. If we had to pick one death out of the franchise, what would be our favorite death scene? That was involved in a Friday the 13th film, because technically some of these murders were not it wasn't Jason that did them. It was maybe someone else.
And just to piggyback on Louis telling me I have a goldfish memory, what I wanted to do originally for this, we already had spoke at length about it, and I don't even remember that. So
that goldfish memory, that goldfish memory.
Yo, what up?
Yeah, so I want to. Dave already forgot what he's doing right now. He forgot what the main topic is. It already left him. So yeah.
Are we talking about Sleepaway Camp?
Yeah, we're talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But yeah, so we're gonna go through our favorite kill in the franchise, and we're gonna start with you, Chris. What is your favorite kill in the Friday the 13th franchise, and why?
I'm gonna go with controversial maybe, but I'm going with the cryo face smash in Jason X.
That's a good one. Really popular.
I think it's a great one because I mean, by the time Jason X came out, that was what 2002 or 2003, whatever the hell it was.
I love Jason X. By the way, I'm just saying
everything had been done in that franchise already. So for them to find a way to still have like an original, inventive kill in a franchise that was 10 movies in, but also horror that was, slasher horror that had gone through so many reinventions at the time, to have that cool of a death scene, I thought was awesome. And it was also like, if I remember correctly, that was like the last Jason kill before he turned into fucking Terminator Uber Jason.
Mega Jason?
Yeah. So it was like a turning point in the film.
Yeah. Well, that's actually his first, I think, kill or second or third kill in the movie.
Yeah, there's
if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I watched Jason X.
Yeah, I don't watch that one often, but
he killed David Cronenberg early on before he kills that. Before he kills the
Cronenberg
the
is killed like in the first 15 to 20 minutes or something.
Like he's killed in like the first 2 minutes of the movie. He's like the cold open, I think, is where David Cronenberg is killed. But that is a good one, and a lot of people love that.
It's a fun scene. It's a great scene, and I mean they really like they show a lot too, and that's why I love it.
The makeup effect is.
I just think that movie as a whole is very fun.
Oh, it is. It's silly as hell, but it's a good time. Like it's a good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's indicative of the time that it came out. Yeah, I saw it in theaters too. Yeah.
Yeah, so did I. But yeah, that's a good one, and it's funny because you see that kill on a lot of lists when it comes to like favorite kills from the series or favorite Jason kills or whatever. You know, you see a lot of people mention that one specifically. Now I'll go next. My favorite kill. I'm going to the first movie is the death of Jack, aka Kevin Bacon. His death scene with the arrow through the neck underneath the bed. He's smoking the dude. He just finished, having some sex. He's laying in the bed. He's smoking a joint. He's chilling. There's some blood hitting him on the face. Pamela Voorhees grabs him from underneath the bed and shoves the arrow through his neck. Very violent, very gory, and I feel it's a very iconic death. A lot of people, once again, remember that death.
I have a note for this. So yes. I feel that this, and people may disagree. I think Louis might agree with me on this one. Chris, I'm not sure about you. But to me, this is the ultimate Friday the 13th kill. Like, everybody knows this scene, and I think it's also partially due to the fact that it's Kevin Bacon. Mm-hmm. So when you have such an A-list actor associated with this movie, and he gets his kill scene, this is something that kind of defines. And I'm sure people might be like, what are you fucking talking about? But I think it's almost a defining moment of the
I agree with that.
I absolutely agree. I also think it goes further into, like, it is the epitome of, like, everyone's, of that trope that Jamie Kennedy talks about in Scream. It's the trope of, like, the sin factor in horror movies. It's the epitome of that. Like you said, he just finished having sex. He's smoking a doobie. He's doing all of the sins that they tell you you're not supposed to do in a horror movie.
Right.
And then he gets offed for it.
My favorite thing about the kill, honestly, is it's like everyone's fear, like when you're a kid, something under the bed.
Yep.
So that's like the scariest. To me, that's what I love about it. And I remember seeing it as a kid. And I don't know if I've ever said this in the podcast before, but I remember seeing it as a kid, and it scared the shit out of me. Yeah. Not the blood, not the gore. The fact that he was just hanging out, and she's under the bed, waiting for him to be alone, and then fucking kills him in a brutal way. Like, it was just creepy. And then with the corpse on the top bunk, and they don't know while they're having sex. Like, the whole setup of that kill is fucking terrifying. And then it's gloomy, atmospheric, dark. You hear the thunder outside. It's raining. Like, everything about that is perfect. And yeah, Dave, I totally agree. When you think of Friday the 13th kills and probably the ambiance of the series, the death of Kevin Bacon, Jack, is probably
definitely
up there as one of the, it's a state, like, I guess it's like a staple in the franchise when it comes to death scenes. And it's funny because it's not even Jason. Like, Jason didn't even exist yet. Well, he existed, but you know what I mean. The incarnation of Jason we know didn't exist yet. But it's still just such a memorable death. You know what I mean? Yeah.
This is a little random, probably very unpopular opinion here. But when it comes to the films and what Chris was saying before about how, like, if the movie's on, he'll watch it from, if it's in the middle, he'll watch it. If it's towards the end, he'll watch it. Although the first two are considered to be, like, the most, probably some of the most classic of the films, I actually avoid them all the time, and I want to watch 3 through all the other ones. For whatever reason, I skip the first 2 all the time. If they're on, maybe I'll watch them, but if the other ones are on, I'll watch them anytime. I don't know why, but that's just me.
Those two feel a little different from the rest
I was
of the
gonna say,
franchise.
I think like
That's why,
the crux of like the lore of the franchise kind of starts to play more in 3 through, rather than and that's where the franchise like starts to find its groove, is like from the 3rd one on more so.
Definitely.
So, I mean, I totally get that.
Hockey mask Jason. That's why. That's when he gets the mask, and that's where he's like, that's the killer we all know and love. Tangent really quick. This is a little funny little story with my fiance. So we're watching that show Moon Knight. Terrible show. I did not like Moon Knight. It was horrible.
I haven't watched any of it.
I did not like
enjoyed it. That's another
It's a cool comic book. The comic books are great.
I didn't care for it. But nonetheless, this is a funny little story. So we're sitting there on the couch, and we're watching the show, right? And she looks at me and she's like, "Oh, Kevin Bacon is really good on the show." And I was like, "Kevin Bacon?
Is he in it?"
Talking about she's talking about
Oscar
Ethan
Isaac?
Hawke.
Oh,
no, she's talking about Ethan Hawke on the show. So the funny thing about it is, like, I look over at her and I'm like, "Oh,
That's
okay."
funny.
Like, I just loved her confidence. That's Kevin Bacon. Like, that was Kevin Bacon. And then I look over at like the screen and I'm looking at him like, you know what? Ethan Hawke is looking very Kevin Bacon-ish these days, especially on like the Moon Knight show.
Yeah,
like
like
hair.
he looks like how Kevin Bacon looks now.
Kevin Bacon was great on Moon Knight. He was my favorite part.
I've seen some funny, like, I guess memes or like little things going around about how Ethan Hawke is famous. Like, where did he come from? They're like, everyone's like, where did Ethan Hawke come from that he's so famous?
He's just a dude.
He's the man. I love Ethan Hawke, so I like a lot of movies he's in.
I always put him and Steven Dorff in the same category, and Steven Dorff to me is always the one that I'm going to choose out of those actors.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why.
I probably like Ethan Hawke a little more because I like a lot more movies he's been in. But
Ethan Hawke used to live across the street in Brooklyn, like where we were in Brooklyn. He literally lived across the street. Like we saw.
Oh, I remember that. That's amazing.
Yo, that was Chris's neighbor.
I know. I should have went and dropped a script on his front doorstep or something.
Like, what up, son? Read my script.
Ethan, if you're listening.
Kevin, if you're listening.
All right.
Kevin Bacon.
Let's get back on track here before
Let's get back
this
on
episode is on Saturday the 14th.
Dave. Yeah, Saturday the 14th is when we're going to end recording. Dave, what is your favorite death scene in the franchise?
My favorite death scene is from Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. It's the belt kill. Eddie and Tina decide to go into the woods for a romp and are met by really vicious kills. First off, the dialogue is so sleazy. Big surprise, being directed by Danny Steinman, having directed Porno. We get Tina. By the way, this actress's name is Debbie Sue Voorhees. So fucking figure that out.
Yeah.
Who decides to sunbathe. Yeah, absolutely. Who decides to sunbathe after getting banged and gets garden shears snipped right across her eyes. And then my man Eddie, John Robert Dixon, being roped to a tree by a belt from his eyes and having our man Roy tighten the belt until Eddie is fucking dead. It's a brutal one. Also to note, both kills are done with the eyes. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. That's a like, that kill, like,
those
if that
kills
was
are
a
brutal.
real, yeah, like if someone really did that to someone, that would be, I don't think their head would crush. You'd have to have like the force, so you have to be like the Incredible Hulk to crush someone's skull. But it was almost like a medieval torture. That's what it kind of reminded me of, a device type deal. Like a leather belt stick and keep twisting it until...
Isn't it like head shears or something? Not a stick.
Well,
right?
he kills her with that.
Right.
Then he has a belt, right? And then he's got him tied around the guy's eyes.
Yeah.
He takes a fucking stick and he just keeps turning it between the two loops. And then it just keeps tightening, and then it's just completely putting pressure on the eyes and the head, and then it snaps, and then that's just it cuts.
Yeah, you never see like the aftermath of his head either. I don't think, if I remember correctly.
They show some skip, like you see snippets of him, like the gradual like bruising and bleeding, but you don't ever see the aftermath of it.
I wonder if his head exploded like a watermelon or something. Like that's kind of what they were going for.
I don't know if that's what happened, but
it would just like crush the like eye sockets and like the temples in. Oh God, brutal. Yeah. That a nice slow one from Roy, aka fake Jason.
My favorite Jason.
Dave's favorite Jason. Yeah, we did talk. I remember we talked about that in the last Friday the 13th
Best mask
special. It is one of my favorites too when it comes to I like the blue. I forget what you call those markings on the mask, on the hockey mask.
I don't know what they're called either.
I forget what they're called. But yes, that is a good one. All three of these death scenes, I think, would make it in anyone's list of best death or best kills, I should say, in the Friday the 13th franchise. Even though two of them weren't technically done by Jason. So, what does that tell you about the kills? Except for the cryo one. The cryo one was obviously Jason. I also think that was the last time Kane Hodder played Jason. So, if I remember correctly, yeah, I think that was the last time.
Well, I think Derek Mears. Derek Mears was playing Jason in the remake.
Wasn't Kane Hodder in Jason X?
Yeah, but that was the last time he played.
Oh, that's what he said. He was saying Jason X was the last one he did, yeah.
Yeah, Derek Mears was the remake, yeah.
They should have definitely had him play Jason.
And I think
Freddy versus Jason.
Ken Krinzinger was Freddy versus Jason. I think that was the only time that guy ever played him.
Yeah, he has like a weird last name that's kind of hard to pronounce, the guy that played him in that one. So yeah, let's jump into our favorite things about the franchise. Our favorite, not even franchise, our favorite Friday the 13th things. And Chris, we're going to start with you. What is one of your favorite Friday the 13th things?
So, I'm a huge Saved by the Bell fan.
Me too. I like the show.
I mean, who isn't?
Chris, I gotta be very honest with you, Chris. I'm not. I don't. I've never sat down. I've never sat down and watched that show.
That's very interesting to hear. I feel like it's right up your alley too. I'm very surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it. It's just a show that never appealed to me.
Yeah.
I just was like, all right, I don't need to watch it. But
that's interesting. All right. Well, so did you watch the clip though?
I did.
Of this one? Okay.
I sure did.
So, my pick is from Saved by the Bell. It's a spoof pick for Jason. Saved by the Bell does a lot of like weird cutaway gags and dream sequences and random episodes. Yeah. And in this one episode, Jesse, the character played by Elizabeth Berkley, is on a dating game spoof, blind dating game spoof show. And her 3 horror contestants that she has to pick from, and they're all 3 terrible dates that she would never want to go on, are Teddy Krueger, which is obviously a play on Freddy, Donald Trump, which is a play on former President Donald Trump, who obviously like that at the time when the show was on was just like, Donald Trump. And then the final one is Mason Voorhees, which like is as close as you can get without calling him Jason. And he looks exactly the same. He's got as we spoke of earlier, the iconic hockey mask. And I don't remember what he's wearing, underneath it, but
he's wearing a giant fucking leather duster.
All right. Yeah. But like,
so random.
The thing is like, that doesn't matter because you see the hockey mask. And he does have an axe. Yeah, he does have an axe. But like, you see the hockey mask, and that's what gets you. And I just remember like, as a kid, knowing that that's who that was because of the hockey mask, like we talked about. That's the thing. So I didn't know who the fuck Donald Trump was from a hole in the wall when I was a kid, but
I want to point out that Screech is Donald Trump, by the way.
Yes.
It's just very funny playing him, so that is hilarious.
The 2 horror characters, they're who they're supposed to be. So that one was my first pick was Saved by the Bell's spoof on Mason Voorhees.
The fucking leather duster is the best part because it's so giant on the kid.
It looks ridiculous.
And so if you Google it now, if you like Google about that episode, obviously the prevailing conversation about articles about it is about Donald Trump. But I remember it for the horror movie characters in the spoof. I don't remember it for that, but that one was my first pick.
But in that episode too, isn't like the whole thing about blind date, like going on blind dates?
Yeah.
I think the episode's called Blind Date.
Right, Blind Dates is the name of the episode, and it's all about Jesse and the other girls like having to go on different blind dates with, and I think one guy is like too short, but her like horror, her nightmare about it is that she's gonna get paired up with a movie slasher.
Yo, why is that character always stressed out on Saved by the Bell? She's always got fucking
She's on
problems.
caffeine pills, man. She's bouncing off the
I'm
walls.
so excited. Everyone knows that, Dave.
Right.
You gotta even know that reference where she's like has to be calmed down and shook. I'm so excited.
Right,
I'm just grooving along to the music, but I actually don't.
That was as
You don't
far
know
as
that
that was
reference?
as
I'm telling
as
you.
they could get on Saturday morning TV was caffeine.
I'm telling you, I know the characters. Like I've seen stills and snippets of the show, but I have never sat down and watched the show. I just never have.
Gotta get on that, Dave. Change that right now. Watch a couple of episodes. Don't
No.
slack on
I
Saved
will
by the
say,
Bell.
to Dave's point, you know who else never watched the show and did an entire podcast about it? The guy who played Zach. Mark Paul Gosselaar never watched the show that he was the star of.
That's interesting.
Damn. So you and him have something in common, Dave.
Right.
There you go.
My man Mark.
Your boy Mark.
My
boy
boy.
Zach Morris. Your boy Zach Morris.
Did you hear that? I think we got some freaks living next door to us.
Yeah, you know what to tell you about. Oh, we got some super freaks up in here.
Get it out. Hey, maybe it's James Brown.
Your minds. Hey, look, man, we didn't order no Ginsu knives, man. You need to right up off my porch. I can't even get in my own house. You know what I'm saying?
So my first pick. Now, I picked this just because I wanted to talk about this segment as a whole. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not even gonna lie. This is one of my favorite things ever. Jason, or the character, a parody of Jason, plays a very small part in this, but it's one of the most amazing thing ever. It's like one of the most amazing things ever. And that is the In Living Color segment, Tales from the Crib.
I don't even remember
Now, it's fucking great. Now, this segment opens up, and I've got a little history as a kid. I remember vividly watching this. So this segment opens up like Tales from the Crypt with a crypt keeper type character portrayed by Marlon Wayans, and it's basically just Marlon Wayans with like a bad like black wig, and it's all stringy and horrible and like
the
ghostly,
skull
like,
makeup. It's really
Yeah,
good.
it's like skull.
It's really
good.
well done. It took me a minute to figure out that it was him.
Yeah, I recognized it right away. Like when I rewatched it, like I've rewatched it so many times because I love the segment.
And I used to watch that show too, but I just didn't remember that. I don't remember that.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
It's fucking great. So he's inside of like this wooden coffin in like a project apartment with like a fridge. It's all run down and horrible, and there's some fog and stuff like that. And he raises up out of the coffin, and he starts introducing the segment like the Crypt Keeper would do. Basically, kind of just like making really, really derogatory and kind of racially
insensitive racial jokes.
But on par with what the show was. So
yes,
you know,
exactly.
We're looking at it through a 2022 lens.
Yeah, it's mostly like geared. It's like pointed, like making fun of minorities, basically, like black, Hispanic, and Asian.
Hispanic.
That's really yes. That's kind of the joke with him, and he's using like all the spooky puns and all that shit. I think it's hilarious. There's a really bad like Vanilla Ice joke where he makes fun of Vanilla Ice. And Vanilla Ice frozen falls out of the fridge, and he kicks him, and he's like, "That's for that dumbass movie, Cool as Ice." Is Jim Carrey
playing? Is that Jim Carrey?
Yes,
playing Vanilla Ice?
That's what I thought.
I think Jim Carrey portrayed Vanilla Ice on In Living Color. So he introduces this segment, and the name of the segment is A Nightmare on 125th Street, which is fucking hilarious. I guess talking about 125th Street in Harlem here in New York, that's kind of the joke. And to sum up this segment, or this very short story, basically you've got Jamie Foxx and like his girlfriend or wife move into this like new house or project or brownstone. I don't know what it is. And it's obviously haunted. There's a werewolf. There's like a voice talking to them, kind of like the Amityville house voice. And there's all kinds of jokes like, oh, there's some freaks living upstairs. James Brown lives upstairs. There's a bunch of stupid, really dumb jokes. And it makes me chuckle every time. But the main thing that is so weird and odd is someone knocks at the front door, and Jamie Foxx walks over to it, opens it, and a dude comes out holding a machete, wearing a flannel shirt, black leather gloves, holding a machete, wearing a bootleg Jason mask. But it's the weirdest, like, customization of a bootleg Jason mask because it has like very strange. I don't know why they did it. I'm so curious.
I have an idea. I have an idea about this, but go ahead.
But they added like this weird hook witch nose, and then like a wart or horn on the forehead. And when he pops out, he just goes kill, kill, kill or something like that. Like that's what pops out. Like that's what plays when he pops out of the doorway, and it's so weird and odd. But why do you think they added this weird, strange fucking witch nose?
I wonder at the time they were trying to avoid like a lawsuit or like a copyright infringement. So they did that
Possibly.
just to like, okay, like how could you say we're infringing on Jason Voorhees if it's got a fucking nose, it has like a witch nose and a horn on it. That's what I was thinking. I was like, that might be like a copyright thing that they're trying to just to be safe.
Yeah, I just found it so odd that they would like customize or adjust the mask that much. It's obviously supposed to be a hockey mask wearing killer Jason, obviously.
Of course.
But, that's kind of, I guess, like you said, that's their way around getting in trouble. But it's still the parody law. Technically, they could have just had the hockey mask and not gotten in trouble. But
I don't know.
It's to me, it's such an odd choice. But this entire segment as a whole,
that's pretty fun.
I think is amazing. And to use one of your terms, this shit is vaporwave as fuck. There's like a layer of fog on the floor. And the set looks really phony and fake. And just having this creepy music while like Jamie Foxx and the woman are just like talking shit to each other.
There's some really funny lines. He's like,
I don't even want to do it, like ruin it.
Jamie Foxx is like, I want to like, he says Martin's gonna be on in 2 minutes. I want to see Shanae. And then and then when the wolf pops out of the closet, he goes, the rats are smaller here. He goes, fucking wolf and
That's
rat.
a great line. That's a great line, dude. The whole segment is just like amazing. Everything about it. And I remember as a kid seeing this and being scared of it because I was like 3 or 4, and I remember seeing it and being a little scared and watching it now as an adult. It's the stupidest fucking thing
Marlon
ever.
Wayans is like chewing the shit out of the scene as the Crypt Keeper character.
He's great in this, and I do want to say his last, like, he closes the segment out just like the Crypt Keeper does, and his last sentence he says, check in for our next terrifying tale or whatever, Friday the first day of the rent or something like that. So like
the first of the month.
The first of the month or whatever, like just insinuating people not being able to pay their rent or whatever. Like that's the most terrifying thing ever. But yeah, I love how they tease another episode, and I really wish that this was an ongoing segment on the show, but it's not. Like this was a one and done for them.
Yeah.
And just I love everything about it. And like our listeners, go out of your way to go on YouTube and watch this because I think
it's easily attainable.
It's one of the fucking greatest things. It's hysterical. Yeah, if you're a little sensitive to certain types of jokes, maybe you won't think it's funny like we do, but
just keep in mind it was a very different time.
Season 4, episode 14.
So good. So good. Go watch it.
Agreed.
Watch it on watch it on every Friday the 13th because it's fucking hysterical. I love it. I love it so much. It's great.
Aw, man, this place is aching for a video. Wayne, you're an asshole.
So my pick, I should say my first pick, is
First
J.J.
pick.
Jarrett from Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah.
I have that right? It's Part 8?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. First off, what a babe, respectfully. If
100%.
you're gonna throw it, yeah. If you're gonna throw a hair metal character in the movie and have her be as much as a babe as she is, and then kill her a few minutes into the movie, is a huge missed opportunity.
I agree.
You could have, like, they could have marketed that character so well. Like, the song she's making a video for is a damn banger. Even it's just actually part of a song, by the way. They only recorded like a snippet of a song and then use it for the movie, which is also, by the way, performed by Terry Crawford, and the song is called JJ's Dream, just in case anyone was curious.
That's a great title.
Yeah,
That's great.
JJ, and you know what's funny, because the song title totally correlates with the video they're trying to film. So they're trying to, like, the whole scene is in this like boiler room of the boat. And
Under the boat or something.
Yeah.
I forget what you call that area.
And it's full of atmosphere, the steam coming out, JJ's swagger, all to have it ruined by a ridiculous kill where Jason somehow can teleport with a guitar and smash her in the head. Like, what a big mistake killing her off. Like, so soon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
agree. It's funny because I think most people, when they watch Jason Takes Manhattan, besides maybe Julius, which I talked about at length in our last Friday the 13th episode, because I love the character of Julius, but she's probably the second most popular character in that movie.
Dude,
Yeah.
if
She
you
stands out
look
the
up
most.
comments, on YouTube, everybody's like, I don't know how they could use her, use the character Tamara over her. Like they couldn't understand how anybody would use that woman as the lead, that actress as the lead, and just kill this girl off. The first she's the first kill, right?
Yeah,
she
she's
is.
she's like the third, because there's like a couple that gets killed before.
Oh,
that
right.
Oh, yeah.
right.
Well,
She's
the
the
first,
first-
main character. Well,
Yeah,
character.
she's like the first person on the Lazarus, the SS
Yeah.
Lazarus. The boat
They have
that
to
they're
make-
transporting to New York in.
They have to make some sort of shirt with J.J. Jarrett on it. Like, that has to be done.
Yeah, I'd fucking buy it.
Absolutely.
Like, in a heartbeat. Yeah, she's dude. I always have just loved, like, the whole idea where she, like, her friend is like the filmmaker guy, which I think he's a cool character too, who's filming her on the camcorder, and how he like breaks out on her, and she's like, you know what, I'm gonna fucking go down and practice my music video, because he's not even with her. It doesn't make much sense when you really think about it. She's just like jamming out by herself, but that's kind of like the visual of her being down there just works so well.
Oh, 100%.
And like her wardrobe, the hair, I love her hair. Her hair's great.
Everything.
It just looks great. Like the bang, I think she has like a it's almost like a bowl bang, like a long bowl coat, like bang.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know. And the guitar's pink, right, or red? I forget.
I think it's pink. It's got like, I think it's pink and black. I'd have to look it up. We might be wrong about this, but
So,
and she.
an interesting thing to note about the actress, Canadian actress, obviously, because it was filmed in Canada. Her name is Saffron Henderson, and she has primarily done voiceover work for pretty much most of her career. Most famously, she was the voice of Gohan on the English dub of Dragon Ball Z.
That's
for
amazing.
81 episodes.
Yeah.
That's fucking amazing.
That's
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, because that's incredible.
She does a lot of video games and a lot of anime dubs.
She's still working today, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
She's probably still doing stuff.
She's 50. From what I remember, I think she's 56. As I saw, I looked her up before. I didn't look up her anything but her age.
Dude, she's a great character. It is a shame. She should have at least lasted until maybe, like, they got to Manhattan and then was killed. You know what I mean?
It's a missed opportunity.
I think she would have fit so well in like the aesthetic of the Manhattan section.
Could
of
have
the movie,
made
too.
her like, why not make her the final girl? Like, why not? Like, she
I
could have
agree.
been the final girl, and it would have been great.
Absolutely.
Dude, if there's one thing you learn about the Friday the 13th franchise, if you're a metalhead or like a goth chick, you'll never be
You're not
the
surviving.
maid. You'll never be the final girl because they always want like a blonde like girl next door type of like archetype character to be that. If you watch the entire franchise and even like the Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, the metal chick never survives. It's a shame. Even in Nightmare on Elm Street 3, what's her Tara? Such a cool character.
Yep.
She's got like
Taryn.
the Dokken t-shirt.
Taryn.
The Dokken t-shirt, like when she's not all dolled up, and then when she's dolled up with the mohawk and the leather and all that, like that's the switchblades. Just a badass character. But I think that's what we like about them in the end. It's like maybe if
they're cool.
survived or like lived or longer, maybe we wouldn't have appreciated them as much. That short amount of screen time is what made us fall in love with these characters and makes us like them so much.
You want
know
more.
I mean?
That's exactly what it is.
Exactly. It makes you want more of them. And let's just make a fan film about that. All the goth, all the alternative girls in every franchise.
There's
a documentary in there somewhere.
All the goth and alternative girls and metal chicks and stuff in horror films that don't live or like are the bad guys. They're always the villains or they die first. Sucks. Fucking sucks.
I wanted to ask you if maybe you've seen somebody. My sister, she came camping up around here with some friends, and she's gone missing.
She ain't missing. She's dead.
So this next one I find super interesting in a lot of different ways. Because of like what this thing led to and sort of like, so we've talked a lot about parodies of Jason and how they pop up in pop culture all the time. So my next pick is actually the cut cameo of Jason Voorhees in the series Supernatural, which I think is a super interesting one because it made it through the script. It was just about to be shot, and like a week before shooting, the cameo of Jason Voorhees, not like hockey mask guy number 2 or whatever. Yeah. The character of Jason Voorhees was going to appear on Supernatural in a cameo, and it got past the script phase, it got past all the writers' rooms, it got into pre-production, and then it was pulled a week before shooting for rights issues. That's as far as you can get in terms of all the different articles.
They didn't want to pay enough to probably get him on the show.
But so that's the thing. I don't necessarily know that there was have to pay because Supernatural aired on the WB network, which then became the CW. So by the time this was the 3rd season of Supernatural that he was supposed to appear in a cameo, it was still a WB property. And there was a point where WB owned the rights to Jason via New Line.
Oh, okay.
So in that, there was obviously someone somewhere thought enough that they would have been able to get away with this cameo, whether it was like the producers or the writers.
Yeah.
They thought, we're WB, this is owned by New Line, which is also WB, we can do this. And they were approved as far as they know until they got this far into the process and the rights were pulled a week prior. So it was going to be in the season 3 episode called Dream a Little Dream of Me, which sounds like it would probably be more of a Freddy Krueger thing, considering it's about dreams. So the main 2 characters, the Sam Winchester and Dean Winchester characters, their mentor is like put into like a demon dream coma, and the guys have to go into his dreams to save him. And where Jason was going to come into play is the Dean Winchester character, who was played by Jensen Ackles. His character is a big horror movie fan on the show. And he would have had a dream encounter with Jason Voorhees on his mission to rescue their mentor.
That sounds
it was in the script as Jason Voorhees. Like I genuinely can't think of another thing outside of Freddy vs. Jason where there actually would have been a Jason character.
Yeah.
And then even more interesting, I think, and maybe coincidental, maybe not, but so this episode would have aired in 2008, and then the next year in 2009, the Friday the 13th reboot came out starring Jared Padalecki from Supernatural. So in a weird way, he did get to face off against Jason, just not in the realm of Supernatural.
Yeah. That's
awesome.
That's the funniest thing
idea.
is. Yeah, Chris told me about this because Chris, you're a big fan of like Dave and I. I've never watched it. I don't know if you've ever watched the show, Dave.
I have the first 3 seasons. I think I remember buying them like on a discount at Best Buy or something because I remember seeing the show and I was like, oh, this show's fun, and I bought like the first 3 seasons for like $25. I just never watched them.
Yeah, I never watched the show. Like because Chris, what is it? They like go after demons and like.
Yeah, I mean it's very
like,
it's very much
like that.
So Eric Kripke is the guy who created it, and he worked with people from the X-Files like Chris Carter and stuff like that. So it's very much in the same kind of realm as the X-Files. It's like 2 lead characters going to different locations week to week and like hunting like monster of the week type of deals. So for me, that was like the allure of it for me, because like X-Files had ended its original run by the time Supernatural started. So like for me, it kind of like filled that void that X-Files wasn't on anymore. So that's one of the big reasons why I loved it. And then like, it went into its own thing and it was on for like 15 years.
Yeah,
like, that's a really long fucking time for a TV show to be on.
Didn't it just end a few years ago?
Should it have been on for 15 years? That's a conversation for another day.
When did it
but
end?
There was a lot of, like 2 years ago, I think.
Okay. Yeah, it's
There was a lot of cool stuff in it. And seasons 1 through 3 or 1 through 5, like Dave said, like he picked up the first 3 seasons. That's like the prime of the show. So like, for them to have been that close to having such a heavy hitter cameo of Jason in the prime of their show would have probably changed the trajectory of the show, to be honest. Like, you open up an entire new audience base that wasn't going to watch until they heard that this slack. Exactly.
Right.
Like
who wouldn't?
It would have changed a lot of the trajectory of the show, and it would have been a completely different conversation we're having. You might not even have gotten the Friday the 13th reboot after that if that cameo had happened, Like, there's no telling what that ripple effect would have been. So it's a very interesting, like, what if and what could have been. So that's why I picked, like, a parody, and then I picked one that I to this day, like, the show's over, and I still, like, Google articles about how the hell that could have happened and didn't happen. So it's very interesting.
I feel like crossovers are always cool, and in the realm of like horror, they don't happen that often. Which is weird. You would think you'd see more like Freddy popping up. Like the character Freddy maybe has popped up. I think he was on the what's that show? It takes place in the 80s. He was on the Halloween episode a few years ago. Whatever.
Oh, the Goldbergs, yeah.
The Goldbergs. I don't watch the Goldbergs like that, so I've watched the Halloween episodes, but that's about it.
But
he popped up on that.
That's the same kind of thing with Supernatural.
Same kind of deal.
There's that crossover appeal.
Yeah, so I feel like that'd be, especially now with like these Marvel movies where characters are like crossing over and all that stuff, you could like do something like that with horror, but again, it really just depends on like the rights and people being willing to share the wealth of the character to other franchises.
I mean, the rights to Friday the 13th are still a nightmare to this day.
Yeah.
I don't know where.
I don't know what's going on with that.
This reminds me of something. This is super out of left field, but it's something that I think about often, and it's a dream that I had, and it's, I don't know if this is going to make sense to some, but you guys might find it interesting, is that sometimes when I have these like really wild dreams, they're almost like movies. And this particular dream, and I had this dream years ago. Viggo Mortensen was in it, and he was like playing like a detective. And he was amazing. He was knocking on like this cult's door that he couldn't get into, and they wouldn't open it unless they knew, like he knew what to say. And in the dream, Viggo Mortensen goes, "I'm investigating the death of Laura Palmer," and they open the door, and then my dream ended, and I was like,
"That's cool as fuck."
I was like, "Yo." I want to know what happens, and then that was
Viggo Mortensen in Twin Peaks. That would have been.
Could you just imagine like watching a TV show and it's just Viggo Mortensen directing it, being a detective, and then it ends like the first episode ends with that? That'd be the fucking.
That's
coolest.
what I'm saying. That's why I bring this up because it's just like one of those weird like whoa, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah,
like that's what it reminded me of. So it's like I have to mention this. So yeah, that's wild.
We need more crossovers. We need more
for sure
more crossovers like Dave's Dream.
Hell yeah.
and like Supernatural would have been if we would have gotten Jason popping up. That would have been cool. Just in general,
definitely
just awesome. Even if it would have been like 2 seconds, it just would have been dope.
Right, and it was just going to be like a quick little cameo, but it was going to be Jason, and it was going to be known that it was Jason Voorhees, not the parody version with the big black duster.
It's legit Jason. Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
They slacked big time.
Now this will give Angela one hell of a nightmare.
So my second pick is from one of my favorite slasher sequels. Personally, one of my personal favorites, and that's Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers. And that's the Freddy, I guess, and Jason versus Angela scene is what I would call it. So in the scene, you've got these two boys, and the entire plot of Sleepaway Camp 2 is basically everyone wants to be a dick to Angela. They all want to just be assholes to her because they don't like her. She's uptight. And she's the camp counselor.
That movie so much.
I do too. It's amazing. And everyone just wants to be everyone wants to scare her. They want to be mean to her. They want to pick on her. Little do they know, this is the Angela that slaughtered people 10 years or whatever prior.
Bruce Springsteen's sister.
Camp. Yes, dude, I always I always thought that was hilarious that was his like younger sister or whatever. Or his younger sister, I should say.
Yep.
But yeah, in the scene, you've got these two boys, Anthony and Judd. They decide they want to scare Angela, and it's been their idea for a year, basically. Like I think Anthony says he had the idea last year. So what they do is each of them, using the little arts and crafts section of the sleepaway camp of the camp, they make their own Freddy glove and Jason hockey mask. There's a scene where you see them like pitting fake blood and making the glove and painting the hockey goalie mask. And Judd has got his homemade machete and his hockey mask on. And Anthony's got like, I try to figure out what he does. Actually, Judd's Freddy, Anthony's Jason, I should say. But Judd, he's Freddy, and it looks like he puts like paper mache or something on his face.
It's like tissue or something like that. You could do a gag like that with tissue.
Yeah.
And just put it on your face and wet it down and put rips in it to make it look like it's burnt or whatever.
It's like pink. It's like pink tissue. Like that. That's kind of what it is. I used to think it was like ham or something on his face, but that's not what it is. but
yes, man, there's people out here putting ham on their face.
My man's putting ham on his face. But yeah, he's got his little replica Freddy glove, and they're out in the woods, and they're looking for Angela to scare them, and Judd loses his replica Freddy glove that he made, and I think Anthony goes to take a piss or something, and what ends up happening is Angela wears the glove like that's sitting on like a log or something, and slices Judd's throat, killing him, and he has
a good throat slit too.
It's a great throat slitting.
I was gonna say, like, it looks really good. And he
his death's a little
on it for a while.
Yeah, he's like, it's like really long. It's kind of silly, but it works. My question always is, why the fuck did he use real razors on the glove when he made it? I'm like,
hey,
okay.
They're trying to scare Angela.
Well, I guess they wanted to kill her.
You're not going to use cardboard blades, are you?
But it's supposed to be just to scare her. So why would he use real? Whatever. I'm overthinking Sleepaway Camp 2 here. And what ends up happening to Anthony or Judd, I'm butchering their names. I think it's Judd. That's, again, Jason dressed up as the goalie. He's looking for Anthony, and Angela shows up in like a Leatherface type costume.
Yeah, which is also funny because it's like a bootleg version of whatever Angela's trying to be. So you got three bootleg versions of characters.
Yeah, she's got like a sailor boy, like I forgot, like a beanie on with like a skin mask and like a raincoat and gloves and a chainsaw. And she ends up literally like Judd tries to fight her, or because I think he thinks
gets
it's
like
Anthony.
Excited. Yeah, he's like, yeah.
Yeah, let's go or whatever. He thinks it's Anthony for whatever reason, even though he just saw Anthony dressed as Freddy, so I'm confused. And he ends up battling and
tool in the shed.
Yeah, I guess both of these kids are idiots, but he ends up losing his machete. He's like, my machete, and Angela uses the chainsaw and kills him. It's off screen, you don't really see, just see the blood hit her face, and she kills Judd, and both of these teens are dead. What I always loved about the scene is this was like when Freddy and Jason were in their prime, if you think about it. Like the franchises were super popular. So I can imagine seeing this for the first time in the theater and being like, wow, that's so cool that they're being referenced in another franchise, these two characters. Specifically, obviously, we're focusing on Jason, but Freddy as well. Like, they were so popular that in another slasher franchise, and this has happened in a lot of slasher movies. There's even I forget the name of the movie. It'll come to me in a sec, I'm sure. There's been like characters wearing hockey masks, obviously mimicking Jason and stuff like that. So it happens throughout, but I think this movie did it the best, just because it's like these two boys made homemade versions of these characters, and it's very reminiscent of Halloween and like kids making their own costumes. Because if you're a young kid, and these kids are supposed to be like, I'm guessing like 14, 15 years old. They're supposed to be really young, which makes it really dark when you think about it, that she's killing like these young kids, and she's killing them throughout the entire film. But I just love how that was their idea. We're going to dress up as Jason and Freddy and scare this real serial killer, you know?
So there's something that I'm surprised you didn't mention. And that's like the actual getting ready scene with I think it's Obsession.
That's my favorite.
That's playing in the background.
Yeah.
Like they're like, Angela's gonna be so scared, and there's the fucking metal music playing, and they're getting ready.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect scene.
Oh, I agree. That entire setup is perfect. And then I believe it's Anthony has the line where he's in the mirror, and I think he says like, "Oh, I'm gonna give her a nightmare she'll never forget."
Right. It's so good.
In the mirror, it's just the direction of that scene is perfect, and I just loved everything. Plus, Judd has a phenomenal mullet. His mullet is on point. He's got like a phenomenal. That shit's flowing in the wind. It's fucking serious, but. I just love everything about it. And like, it's almost like insinuating that Angela's a more brutal killer. Like, I'm fucking tougher than Freddy and Jason. But the cover of Sleepaway Camp 2 has references to Jason and Freddy, because you've got the girl who's not Angela on the cover.
I know, it's so interesting.
With a backpack, and it has a little hockey mask poking out of it, and a Freddy glove. So it's just kind of insinuating like, oh, and I even think the tagline is like, she's not Jason, she's not Freddy, Angela's back, or something like that. So trying to say like Angela's a more badass character than Freddy and Jason. Yeah. So I love it. I just love it.
Just a little tie-in. I believe Bruce Springsteen's sister is Pamela, right? I think that's her name.
Yeah, Pamela Springsteen. Yeah.
So we could connect Pamela Springsteen to Pamela Voorhees.
Yeah,
so, there we go.
Just saying,
Chris. I know you've never seen Sleepaway Camp 2.
Never.
Campers.
I know.
Oh man, you're missing out, Chris. You gotta watch part 3.
I watched this scene for the show, but I've never seen Sleepaway Camp 2.
Watch part 2 and part 3.
Everything. Part 2 and 3 are awesome. Yeah, that's a great double feature. They're just great like fun slasher movies.
Just really
like,
fun.
silly.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it.
Really silly, really dumb, but like a good time.
Well, one of my favorite lines in any movie ever is in Sleepaway Camp when he goes, "Hey Angela, why are you so fucked up for?" It's just one of my favorite lines in anything.
There's another great line when the girl's kissing the boy, and she's like, "Why do you have to kiss so wet?"
Yeah.
Yo, my favorite is when her cousin, what is it, Ricky? He's like, fucking assholes, dicks, fucking
he's just
dickheads,
cursing.
motherfuckers, ass. Yeah, he's just after they hit her with the water balloon.
And there's that one line
Such a
where he's
great
like,
franchise.
"Eat shit and live." He says, "Eat shit and live" to the one guy. It's so good.
So good. All three of them are fucking great. Go watch them if you've never seen them right now. They're streaming everywhere. They're like on Tubi, Shudder. They're fucking on everything.
They're the best.
Such a good franchise, and this scene specifically, so great.
Where do I start? The Friday thing. It's been good to me over the years. We did 8 in all, and although I know the award is for all 8, I'd be lying if I said they were all solid films. But I did think that 1 and 3 and 4 and 7 were some of my best work. But I felt I was off in 6, but I was just after sabbatical and I had a problem with all the violence, but I think I came back hard in 7, and I think 8 speaks for itself.
Well, my second and last pick is the 1992 MTV Movie Awards Jason Voorhees Lifetime Achievement Award. I know I mentioned this the last time. That's about the only thing I can remember from that episode, but this is the very first MTV Movie Awards. Dennis Miller presents the Lifetime Achievement Award to Jason Voorhees. First off, it's absurd this is even a thing, but I'm not mad about it. We get a fun compilation of brooding Jason and his kills, all synced up to the music of Sinead O'Connor and Frank Sinatra.
So dumb.
on top of that, Jason actually accepts an award for it, and the man behind the mask is none other than the incredible John Lovitz.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb. We get a shout out. First off, we get a shout out for to Arnold Schwarzenegger and Terminator 2. He says the future is ours, and then is unmasked and plugs a League of Their Own, which is even better.
Oh my god.
So
listen.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, with this whole thing, you gotta admit, it would have been cooler if they did more like the Arsenio Hall route. And had
for
a
sure.
guy
For sure.
pretend to be not say anything, accept the award, and then leave. And like, imagine
Absolutely.
Jason in like a suit and tie going up there and accepting this award.
A big wet suit and tie.
A big wet suit and tie with like mold and shit all over it.
Yeah.
So, I have a fun fact here. So, for years, up until just now, I always thought it was the reverse. So, when John Lovitz, a.k.a. Jason, goes to accept the award, Metallica's playing. Yeah. I always thought it was Metallica playing during the compilation of Jason. But okay. I didn't realize it. So I knew it. Like, I knew there was a tie between Jason and Metallica. And I was like, I could have sworn it was Metallica when I saw it fucking... I was 9 when it came out.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I could have sworn it was Metallica. But I was right. At least I did remember Metallica at some point in that video. So I just thought, I was like, okay, I wasn't wrong there. But yeah, it's just ridiculous. And it's just very of its time. Like, the early 90s, sure. Dennis Miller was such a huge name. And his, like, kind of deadpan delivery, and he was in Bordello of Blood and stuff. Like, that was just such a product of its time. Like, the early 90s, that's 100%.
Yeah, it's very much like a time capsule.
Absolutely.
That moment in time. Like,
John Lovitz.
That was the...
Like, that was
if
like,
you,
he was
look
in City
the crowd
Slickers.
At that time, that's it. Like, Billy Crystal's there. It's like,
yeah.
Terminator 2 was like a big movie that year, and like City Slickers was a big movie that year, and like those guys are like there in the MTV Movie Awards, and like I don't even know if the MTV Movie Awards still exist.
Yeah, I don't know either.
You wouldn't catch like heavy hitter guys like Schwarzenegger and Billy Crystal dead at an award show like that.
Because MTV was like that, you know, that was it.
Right,
like, MTV was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny too because I think at the time wasn't the Critic on? He was the voice. Remember the Critic?
Critic
John
is great.
Lovitz. I'm sure
John Lovitz is great.
That time. But like that was like High School High. Remember that stupid movie with John Lovitz? Like I love that movie. But yeah, like that was the John Lovitz time. Like, he popped
Yeah,
up. And
absolutely.
shit. And you were like, that's fucking... I love John Lovitz. He's fucking great.
He's the best.
But I still wish it was actually like Kane Hodder in a costume dressed up as Jason. And if you think about it, though, this was 92, right?
1992, yes.
Jason was kind of in a lull at this point because there were no sequels. 92? Jason Goes to Hell was 90, and I think that was the last one for a while until Jason X. So this was
why he got the lifetime achievement, you know? Like,
they thought he was done. No more Jason at this point. Little did they know. Jason never truly dies, and he always comes back.
I do love the juxtaposition of Frank Sinatra playing over Friday the 13th clips. There's just something so cool about that.
No,
Sinead O'Connor.
It works.
So
Sinead O'Connor. They were classing the joint up. You know, they were classing up all the fucking brutal murders. And if you watch it, the Kevin Bacon murder is in that compilation.
It is, yeah.
Even though that's technically not Jason, so they didn't do the research.
The infamous sleeping bag kill is in there too.
It is. If you look, the cryo one hadn't even happened yet, Chris.
Right. We were a decade off from that kill.
Dude, it's kind of crazy to think that at that point Jason was not as popular as before. Like, you know, he hadn't had a movie in a while. So I guess they were probably poking fun at that. Like, you know, all this character's not, like, they were killing off the slasher characters at that point. They were kind of just getting rid of them. You know, 92 was like a weird time for horror.
You hadn't had like the Scream reinvention of slashers that mid-90s. Yeah.
Listen, 92, Jason dead, technically the character. He went to hell. Freddy dead, because that was 91, I believe. 90 and 91. Yeah. Both were dead. Freddy versus Jason was in development hell.
You had New Nightmare after that. You had Next Generation Texas Chainsaw after that. You had those like let's get away from the old style type of movies that came after that.
At least Jason won an award, though. He won a Lifetime Achievement Award on behalf of John Lovitz.
Thank you. Can't ever take that away from him.
Thank goodness. Yo, you know what? I think they should give him next year or soon. They should give Jason another Lifetime Achievement Award, another fucking.
I agree.
Years. Another 30.
Yo, just on a side note, I was looking at the award winners for the MTV Movie Awards for that year.
Yeah.
John Singleton won Best New Filmmaker in 1992 for Boys in the Hood.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Crazy. Wow. R.I.P. He's not around anymore. Sad, man. Yeah. Yo, Boys in the Hood. It's fucking awesome.
Classic.
That was frightfully brief, wasn't it? But then again, my people don't fear nothing that goes bump in the night. Unless it's coming through the window with a shotgun. Join me next time for another terrorific story when I bring you Friday the 1st, Day of the Wren.
So that was our 2022 Friday the 13th special. Be sure to subscribe, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Haunted Hangover, and check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/Haunted Hangover 31.
And if you can rate and review us, that would be greatly appreciated. And on behalf of the entire Haunted Hangover crew, we'd like to wish you a very happy Friday the 13th.
And remember, the best cure for a hangover is
more booze.
Oh boy.
So dumb. Later, guys.